So deals, deals, deals. That's why we're here. And I'm going to go through some of the deals that have been publicized thus far. So first are the big deals. NIL was instituted. There were people that jumped on it very, very quickly. Ohio State is actually one of the leading schools with students that have NIL deals. So stated here, there are 5 Ohio State football players that were given new cars by a local dealership. I believe it was a Chrysler dealership. They are able to ride around and use those cars for the 2021-2022 school year. However, there is a caveat with that deal. They're only leased to them to the end of the 2022 season. Afterwards, we're not sure what is going to happen with the cars. Do they have to negotiate a new deal? Are they just going to take the cars away? Will they be able to buy the car? Will they be able to lease the car? These are the type of items that you want to discuss when creating the deal at the beginning. Okay, Shedeur Sanders. I know most of you guys are familiar with Coach Primetime. He's Deion Sanders' son and plays for Jackson State. He is the youngest athlete ambassador for Beats by Dre. So he's only 19 years old. He's landed this major deal. I don't know how many millions he's going to receive. But for somebody like Shedeur Sanders, it's very easy to say that, oh, it was easy for him to get that deal because of who his dad is. And I'm sure that that played a part in his deal. But prior to the policy changing, despite who his dad is, he would not have been able to monetize his name, image, and likeness. Okay, down in Florida, this is a very interesting deal. N'Kosi Perry, he signs his first NIL deal with an alcohol company. Now, most states do not allow alcohol NIL deals. However, in Florida, the caveat is if you are over 21, you can get an alcohol deal. He has more deals on the table than that. Also, what's shown in the slide is one of the merchandising company has a line for Perry, and he's going to be able to sell those items and be able to monetize off of that. These are some of the other articles that I found about student athlete deals. These links are clickable, so you're going to be able to check them out on your own time. Going back to Ohio State, like I said, they jumped on this very quickly. Ohio State is now selling the jerseys of the student athletes. Prior to the policy changing, they could sell jerseys with the numbers on them, but they could not carry the student athletes' names. This is a part of a group licensing deal between Ohio State and the licensing company, but now you can purchase your favorite student athlete's jersey if it's available. This is an amazing story to me. This is Raekwon Smith. He is a student at Norfolk State, and to date, he has landed over 50 NIL deals. That's so amazing. And what's also amazing about Raekwon Smith is he has landed one of the first deals with an HBCU and a major sports team. So he has a deal with the Norfolk Admirals, and this is going to catapult his career. And it also provides a transition between student athlete and going into the pros. All NIL deals are not the big deals, but there's an opportunity for multiple deals, and those deals can add up. So for instance, there are college student athletes that are getting paid $20 per Instagram follower. Well, a lot of these student athletes are getting the deal because they already have a large Instagram following. So if they are partnering with a brand and they bring in more followers, that's just more money in their pocket. Okay, so as I stated, there are schools such as Ohio, Miami, Georgia Tech, that people frequently look to. They're at the top of the college football list. But what about the other people? What about the women? Women are getting deals too. I showed you the deals with Raekwon, but he is not the only HBCU player who is getting deals and who's eligible for deals. I find that with the HBCU student athletes, a lot of the barrier to entry is education. Nobody's coming to them and telling them what is available to them. Or if the schools do have it, it's on a smaller scale than the bigger schools. And people can think, oh, that's not available to me. And one of the reasons why I'm having this education session is to let them know it is. So one of the women student athletes, as an interesting story, this is gymnast Rachel Bugmat. Yes, I apologize, Rachel, for butchering your last name, but she's a gymnast. And the way she came across her deal with the Atlanta Braves is the Atlanta Braves put out on social media that they were looking for ambassadors, and she sent them a DM based upon what she already had, the type of following that she had, the type of image that she had on Instagram. They offered her the deal. So this is one of those NIL deals that's not as big as the other ones. She is going to be paid about $500. And based upon her social media postings, if people buy tickets to the Braves games due to her post, she'll be able to earn a commission off of those. Lacrosse players are also landing deals. So again, this is all across the NCAA board, and definitely want to remind people that it's not just football and basketball. Okay, this is Aaliyah Boston. She is a basketball player out of South Carolina. I believe it's South Carolina. And she landed a deal with Bojangles. And she also landed a deal with European WAC. Going back, we are moving on to section 3. So this is to walk you through the actual process. As the student, as the student athlete, they're going to want to reserve that. Now, when you file for a trademark, there are 2 filing bases. One is for a mark that is already in use, meaning you've already used the mark on T-shirts, on cups, on mugs, and you're already using it and selling it. The second basis, which a lot of student athletes may fall under, is intent to use. So what it does is it reserves your mark. You file for the trademark, you tell the trademark office that you do intend to use this in the near future. You have to file a statement of use once it's used, and you have up to 6 extensions. So without getting technical, if you are cleared by the trademark office in June and your child is 13 and you haven't used that mark in commerce yet, they can reserve it for 6 months, reserve it for another 6 months until they start using it. Now, here's another caveat, which is why I'm teaching this class, and is, let's say again, the student had a name such as Buzz Lightyear, but they're using it in a separate business, separate and apart from their name, image, and likeness. That can be sticky with some of the schools. So you're going to want to talk to counsel prior to picking the school, if your student has not already chosen the school, and prior to signing any deals. And again, the trademarks, you do not want to wait. You want to sign up for them as soon as possible. It's also taking a very long time to be awarded trademarks right now, because with the pandemic, so many people started their own businesses, and they flooded the trademark office. Advanced disclosures. The student athlete must disclose any NIL activity. That's a non-negotiable. So again, trademark and copyrights, one thing that you notice here is that they're talking about the UGA trademark and copyrights. They're not talking about the students' trademark and copyrights. So I wanted to point that out. Compliance with institutional agreements. Students cannot do anything that will violate or infringe upon the school's NIL rights. Okay, this section is important. Agents, other professional representation. So again, that includes sports agents, attorneys, accountants. Students can have them. I suggest that students have their own team and not just rely upon the school. More about that a little bit later. An athlete sports writer. She has a podcast that's amazing. I do not have any affiliation with her, and I'm not getting paid for any of these links. But like I said, a lot of the students are relying solely upon the school for their deals, but students can take a hold of their NIL deals themselves. They can sign up for these deals on their own. They don't have to go through the school. They have to report it to the school if they're able to land the deals. But this way, students can be proactive. They can go to some of these sites and submit their information. Submitting the information can take anywhere from 10 minutes to 20 minutes to a half an hour, but you have to get started somewhere. So most of these sites require that a student fill out general information, upload a headshot, tell information about themselves. They ask about their social media following, because a student athlete is not going to get a deal just because they're a good athlete or an average athlete. What can they bring to the company? So when you ask about what students that are in high school or even junior high can do right now, if they are on social media, they can grow their social media, make sure it's all positive content on social media. You don't want to be 20 and they pull up an Instagram post from you from 5 years ago where you're holding up a gun. So like I said, I like this marketplace because it allows the students and their parents to start preparation. Now, I told you that California was the only NIL state that allowed for NIL deals for minors, but there is one site on here. It's called Clean Connect that you may want to check out, Ryan and Maceo, because they're actually looking for high school student athletes. So again, always got to read all of the red tape. You have to, figure out what they're offering. Could this affect your student athletes' prospects when they do apply for college? But there are opportunities out there themselves of their own brand. I do suggest that the student athlete, form an LLC, just like the trademark, sooner rather than later. If you do it now, you're not using it, that's fine. You've registered it. You've registered the name with the state. Just registering your LLC with the state is not the same as filing a trademark. But why do you want to do this? People take advantage of celebrities every day. So let's say your student athlete is running a soccer clinic and somebody falls down and gets hurt. You want her or his business assets and proceeds separate from personal assets and proceeds. If you're running something like a soccer clinic or a camp, the business needs to have insurance, not the individual student athlete. When you do start to acquire intellectual property, such as trademarks and copyrights, they can be registered to the business as opposed to an individual, because you can license this information on your own. Again, depending on what school and what the school's policies are, you can use your own name, image, and likeness. So I'm very much stressing that kids and parents need to protect themselves first, as opposed to just depending on the school. So I'm going to start with how attorneys can help student athletes. Number one, we could just help with advising. We can work with you to develop your own strategy as to how you're going to go about this. So again, my advice to the student is not to just rely upon the school. So attorneys can act as advisors. We can help with compliance and reporting and disclosing the information to the school, helping they're not kids, helping the student athletes fill out the forms, or if it's a school that's not using one of those outside firms and the student has to do this themselves, just think about it. The student has to go to school, play the sport, and then run their own business. So they're definitely going to need help. Attorneys can help with contract drafting. They can help with contract review. They can help with digital avatar licensing. So again, if the student is being featured in video games or cartoons or web series, the attorney can help with the licensing and negotiating with that. We can help with entity creation. We can help with risk management. We can help with scholarship review. We can help with trust accounting. Actually going to get into accounting in just a second. And we can also help manage your team of other professionals. So those other professionals may include a sports agent separate and apart from an attorney. Some sports agents are attorneys as well. Definitely an accountant. The students have the potential to get paid by multiple sources. So you want to make sure that they they have their accounting correct. So for instance, with some of the deals that we talked about before, with the students who have the cars, it reminds me of years ago, I think Oprah either gifted cars, I think it was Oprah who gifted cars, but then the recipients didn't know that they had to pay the taxes on the car. If the student athlete does have their own LLC, they will be able to deduct money that they didn't even think about. So if they are on the road for their deal, they can deduct mileage, they can deduct meals. If they have a dedicated portion of their house dedicated to running this business, that can be deductible. So there are a lot of benefits that are available to a business owner as opposed to an individual. So you definitely want to talk to an accountant about that. You want to talk to a wealth advisor. Some of these deals are huge. Even if the deals aren't huge, just imagine if you started planning your if you started your wealth plan at 18 years old, where would you be today? And a wealth advisor can also put you in a position to make bigger deals, make great investments. The student athlete may need somebody in PR. They may need somebody on their team who's a graphic artist. So there's a lot of people and there's a lot of balls in the air when it comes to the student athlete space. So that is the end. Thank you guys so much for attending the masterclass. I had a good time with you, and this recording will be available. I can be reached on all social media at Coger Law Firm. If you're interested in booking a consultation, the link is here.